Hey fellow heathens, this is Liz here, and I just wanted to bring you guys today some decks that I have modified in one way or another. Some went well, some didn't go so well. So I will put links to these decks in the description box below, along with some of the materials that I used. And let's get started. So one of my very first deck mods was the Crystal Visions Tarot. And this one actually, I today just got a second copy in because I wanted to redo it. I wasn't really happy with how it came out. So as you can see, it's really super uneven, and I love this deck. This was one of the first ones that, like, as I'm going through it, I'm like, oh, I love this one. Oh, that's so cute. That's so pretty. So I really love this deck, and I really wanted to do it right. So since I started deck modding several years ago, I have, watched different YouTube creators and how they do it, and taking measurements really is essential. And actually, like, putting a guard up against one side of the deck as you're trimming. I use a guillotine trimmer, and is very helpful so that you can get an even cut every time. So what I did with this deck and the Marielle Tarot that I'll show you is that I kind of just did one card at a time. So I cut one side, then I cut another, then another, and I don't know if you can see kind of like the corner rounder that I got wasn't very good, and it kind of chewed up the corners. So if you can really see that, and some of them are like really much shorter, so I really want to go back in and do a better job. And I didn't edge this one, but I don't know that I will, because I'm not sure I feel comfortable letting possibly getting some of the bleed on the front with the marker. So that is the Crystal Visions Tarot. And so let's take a look at the Cosmic Tarot. This one, if you can tell, is much better. I did use measurements with this one, so it did come out. Some of them, like sometimes the cards with the borders, you have to kind of go in a little bit more and just take slivers off just to get that white off, or whatever color the border is. And because it really annoys me when that happens. So there's just maybe a couple of cards in here that are like that. I really love this deck. It is so like old school, like 70s, and there's some pictures in here of what appears to be like old Hollywood people. Like, I swear, let me see if I can find him. I mean, come on. I don't know, but that looks like he looks like he's like Ken, or should be in a boy band somewhere. Well, that's okay. I can't find the one that I wanted to show you. Well, who does that remind you of? So anyway, so that's the Cosmic Tarot. The backs turned out really well. No edging yet. This is actually the same cardstock, it feels like, as the Crystal Visions. So I may edge this. I'm not really sure yet. That is the Cosmic Tarot. The Illuminated Earth Oracle, I edged in a gold. So I'll probably go ahead and grab some of the stuff after the video and show you some of the markers and some of the pads of ink that I used. So, like, look at that. Look how awesome that came out. And this was an idea from Dawn Michelle over at Boho Tarot. She actually used this gold ink stamp, the Galaxy Gold. I'll have to go grab it, but it's so nice. It's got a sheen to it, but it's not too shiny. And I did have to go over it several times, probably like 3 or 4 times, just to make sure that all the edges were coated evenly. But I love how it turned out and how it, like, you know, you can see how it matches the backs. I love this deck. So this Oracle deck, to be honest with you, I haven't used it as much as I would like, but I did just back her Oracle deck on Kickstarter. I'll probably go in and, you know, put the name of the deck, but it's like a garden deck. So I'm really excited about that one as a supplement to this one. So this one has some very interesting keywords. You know, you have your suits here, but you also have phenomenon. Like it would just be, it offers a different take on how you would layer into a tarot reading. And structure, that reminds me of the Emperor. And combustion, so like the energy of combustion is just like this powerful force of energy, fiery energy. So it's definitely a unique take on the tarot. That is the Illuminated Earth Oracle. And real quick, I have the Sun and Moon Tarot. Looks so much better without the borders. It's tiny now. Those borders were huge, so this is like literally what the card size was, but look at those borders, they're huge. So I took the numbers off, and I didn't think it was necessary, but they lay out so well now. Here's the backs. Didn't really disturb the backs. And I guess this deck is a mix of Rider-Waite-Smith and Thoth. But I actually didn't like the keywords on the top because I didn't feel like they matched what I'm used to reading these cards as. So they were more Thoth-based. But I found that without them, I was able to read it the way I'm familiar with. I think that's so pretty. It's a great deck now, great travel size. And you can see it's a little bit uneven, but not too terribly so. Not enough that I feel that I would want to repurchase it like the Crystal Visions Tarot. That is the Sun and Moon Tarot. Next up, this is the one that one of the ones that I'm most proud of, the Guardian Angel Tarot by Radleigh Valentine. This, I saw also Dawn Michelle from Boho Tarots. She took the gilding off, and I did as well, and I edged it in this beautiful dusty pink color. I think that Lisa from Supportive Tarot and Dawn Michelle from Boho Tarot both did it, like they chose the color that matched the suit color, like blues and pinks and yellows and greens and purples. So it was really cute, but I just found this one color that I really liked, and I wanted to kind of match that soft lace color, and I'm really happy with it. It came out really well. The corners came out well. It's not, I really do not like gilding if it's that shiny, like sharp kind. So I found my measurements, and I just took off, I measured how much I was going to take off on this side, and then I did all the deck on this side, and then I flipped it over and I measured the same measurement that I did on this side, made sure I only took off that much from this side, and on we went. So that one went really, really well. That's the Guardian Angel Tarot. And this one, I actually reorganized the Guardian Tarot. So I really, really, really love this deck. And here are the backs. I didn't cut it in any way. I didn't modify the deck itself, but I went through and I like reorganized the suits and what I thought. I should probably do a separate video on this and actually order the original deck, because I put these little labels on there because I didn't find that some of the cards actually matched. Like this is not the Eight of Cups. This was this, I don't remember which one this was, but this to me feels like she's moving away from something. And so it worked well with the Eight of Cups. So I was able to actually reorganize each of these, and it seemed to fit better in my mind. Like this was not the Empress, but if that doesn't look like an Empress card to you, I don't know what would. That was the Three of Cups. This, I believe, was the Hermit still. Don't know that that was the Knight of Cups. Yes, this was definitely not the Page of Pentacles. That was not the Ace of Wands. That was like, I think this was the Hierophant. So I found that Temperance, like when I was reorganizing, obviously I only had the choice of these particular cards to use, but I found that the blend of light and dark in the background really lended this card well to being reorganized as Temperance. That was the Moon. I think this was the King of Cups. This was, I believe, like the Four of Swords. And I didn't see like a rest or meditation in here at all. So I relabeled it as the Six of Swords because of the boat in the background. And if you can see, they're pointing to another location. And that worked better for me. So I'm not going to go through it all. But I was really proud of, that was not the Nine of Cups. I was really proud of what I was able to do is to make it work for me specifically. It does shuffle well still. It does kind of catch a little bit on the edges of this label here and there. But it seems to be holding up just fine, and I'm really happy with it. And that is the Guardian Tarot. Some people find the faces to be off-putting, but I don't know. I feel like they kind of almost like look at you, like look deep inside of you. So it's calling you to make the change that, you know, the meanings of the cards would have you make. So it's very like intimate, I feel. So the Vintage Wisdom Oracle by Victoria Mosley. I'm sorry if I'm not saying the names of the authors and creators of all of these decks. Here are the backs. So I did trim this down. They had huge borders on there. And I did see several tarot YouTube people cut the borders off, and they made these cards look like postcards. So I'm really happy with how this turned out. And check out the edges here. I made it so there was like two distressed inks, and it looks like, you know, like I created kind of a mottled effect. I'm really happy with it. And like the corners are more of a deep brown. So this was like the antique linen distressed ink, and this was the walnut, I want to say. I'll grab those at the end and I'll show you. But yeah, I'm really happy with how that came out. And this cardstock is, I really like it. I don't know what it is, but it's really pretty. It's really a joy to handle now that I trimmed it. It was like huge before. So that is the Wisdom, Vintage Wisdom Oracle. Let's go to the Marielle. So this was like one of the first ones also that I did. This is the first edition with the humongous borders, and I'll show you in a second how big it was before. So this is the box that it came in, and this was the size of the card before. This is the title card. So as you can tell, like the backs didn't get damaged in any way. This is the size of the card now. This is how much I took off. So I did actually trim some of the bottom underneath the title just to get it to be a little more manageable. It's still pretty long in my opinion. You know, I can get my hands around it and I can shuffle it now just fine. But I did edge it in black, and I actually, because this lamination, let me see if I can find a card where it happened and it forced me. I think this was the one. Like you can see, this is a really thick front border. It bled underneath the lamination, and I couldn't have that. So I had to overlap the black onto the front, which actually like comes off a little bit here and there when as I work with this deck, but that's fine, just to make it more uniform. So this was one of the cards that really put people off, and it was redone in the second edition. But I gotta tell you that it's so powerful to me, and you know, my own personal how I feel. You know, I grew up Catholic, and my own personal feelings about the Catholic Church, this kind of, it works for me. So I enjoy that one, and this one also, I think I don't know where it went. Oh, the High Priestess. Like, she just looks so primal and so visceral and so otherworldly. I feel like that is exactly what the High Priestess means to me. She's this deep, dark creature, you know, within us that whispers messages when we need them. So I really, really love this deck, and I do like how it came out. So this was before I was taking measurements, so you can kind of see how uneven it is. But when I went back in and I took out, you know, a little bit more of underneath the titles, and I did that with measurements, it made the top much more even, but the sides were still kind of jacked up. But I don't care, it works. So that is the Marielle first edition, which is actually, if I'm not mistaken now, really difficult to find, and is selling for enormous amounts of money. The second edition is nice too, and it's borderless, so you don't have to mess around with that. But that is just how I really like the first one better. So here's my Osho Zen. What I meant to do with this is just edge it in this like black or this metallic red color. So it turned out like I didn't like it. So I decided to chop it off. So I chopped off the black borders and I made it much smaller. But I did use measurements, and I'm really happy with how it came out. It's small now, but I actually like it better without the borders. You know, anything really that's borderless is, to me, going to just flow better from card to card. So I definitely prefer borderless. And some people like the Osho Zen, some people don't. I really like the keywords. I feel like it definitely has a base in psychology, and I'm a big psychology, I love understanding. Oh, I never use this card. I always take it out. So that is the Osho Zen Tarot. And the last two are just edgings that I'm proud of. So here's the mass market Lightseer Tarot. Sorry about the camera. I do have the Kickstarter version with the original 10 of Swords, which I will never give up, because just, you know, I feel like the original Ten of Swords had like there was something about it that was so prophetic and so before its time, that to remake that card into what it is now, I feel is almost like giving up on the vision that the creator CrazArt originally had. So it's and I don't really use it because I want to preserve it, but it's more of a symbol to me to always go with your gut, always, you know, stick to your truth, and don't let you know, the those who would tear you down have their way with you artistically. So that's how I feel about that. And this cardstock is actually really nice for mass market. I know they had the first one they put out had all sorts of dings and it was like uneven, but they really came through. Hay House did with the putting out the second version of this mass market deck. So here's my edging with this green, kind of matches the inside box, and it matches the green of the backings. So I'm really happy with how that came out. I also had to go over that several times with the green marker that I was using. Now the Kickstarter has such, like, it's more of a lighter vibrant green. I wouldn't say it's teal because it's more green than it is blue. So this is a bit darker than I was hoping to get, but I'm still happy with it. And the guidebook is awesome. So that is the Lightseer Tarot. I actually didn't show you any of the cards, so I'm sure you've seen this a million times, but let's just go through a few of the cards here. Oh, and the mass market coloration is much more saturated than the Kickstarter. It does have a little bit of a sheen, but not too much. The Kickstarter is much more matte, but the colors in here are just, they pop. Everybody I think loves this card. It's one of their favorites. And the Hierophant was renamed. It was Keeper of the Sacred. And this is such a great card deck because it really speaks to the energy of each of the cards. Even the quartz are amazing, like the Knight of Swords. I mean, he's off and running. He's gonna get done what he wants to get done. So you really can't go wrong with this deck, ever. And the Justice. Nobody ever really turns it upside down so you can kind of see like the difference. So she's got her eyes closed and then open. And even like the scales, this side is lit and this side is dark. So it's just great. Love that. Oh, and here's the new Ten of Swords. Like, I feel like that depiction of the Ten of Swords is too close to the Eight of Cups. Oh, here it is. Of course, to the front. Like, they're both walking away, and it feels like this is a sunset here, or maybe a sunrise, but there's light emanating from this part of the card as well. So for me, that's what that card stands for. All right, enough about that. That is the amazing Lightseer Tarot. So here's the thing. I have this this camera holder, and it's a single, and it kind of dangles and it shakes, but I have a second one, but it's kind of a pain in the neck to line them up so that it doesn't shake, so that I have like one side, let me zoom out, one side is holding the camera this side and one clip is holding it on this side, but it's like they all want to twist and turn, and I can't get it to be exact without much effort. So if the camera's shaking a lot, just let me know, and I will probably go back to the 2 cameras. So this is the Muse Tarot, also by CrazArt, and this is the last one I want to show you. This coral is amazing. Love it. And it matches like this flower right here. So I'm really happy with that. That's also an ink pad, and I will grab those and I will show you. So this one is, you know, more so digital collage, and I don't resonate with this one as much as the Lightseers, but, and you know, I did have the the Kickstarter version of this, but I ended up passing it on and just getting this one because I really didn't need to have the the Kickstarter in my collection. So if you can tell, it's just a little bit, you know, barely. So if I took that away, like, it's not that bad. It's still on the edge, and it didn't really bleed too much on the front. This is the lightest card in the deck. But it, for the most part, like you can tell, it came out really well. But I made sure to wipe it down, and it's still got that little bit of sheen, so it's easy to come off. So I'm happy with that as well. Love the material suit. Love all the flowers. And the Muse, the Kings are landscape, which doesn't particularly bother me. I just have to flip it, but some people say that's a deal breaker. Love this Priestess. And the Magician. So that's it for my deck mods. Wish me luck on the, oh no it isn't. Nope, I lied. There's one more. This was also one of the first ones I did. Let me go ahead and put the Muse back. And I do actually really like these boxes. I actually like this box and this setup better than the Lightseer's Kickstarter version because it's separated into 2 stacks, and it's just kind of a pain to get out of the box without dumping them everywhere. So when creators can make the book smaller and in the, you know, figure out a way to get it in the box like that, I appreciate that so much. So here's my Llewellen Tarot. This was also one of my first ones. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit there. My first deck mods. I took the borders off, and as you can tell, this is another one I'm thinking of repurchasing, but I've used it so much that I'm not sure I want to because I have bonded to this deck. And it was a highlighter. I'll also grab that. That matches the backs really, really well. So this was before measurements, as I said, and I'm tempted to redo this one as well, but this is a lot more expensive. I think this was on sale on Amazon for like $13.76, so I had to pick that up. This deck is so, I don't know, the colors are so warm and comforting, and the artwork, like the line work it's strong because, you know, you can see all the lines, and it's not like it's almost like faded in a way because you can't really make out the faces as much as you would be able to. Like, look at that. If it's gonna focus. So I do love this deck, and it reads really, really well. Definite Rider-Waite clone. I must have had it in order. Yeah, I think I did. I'm gonna have to go fix that because I use this deck for study purposes as well. So that is it. That is the Llewellen Tarot, and this is Liz from Tarot for the Heathen signing off. See you next time. Take care. Oh, and leave me information that you, or questions that you might have, in the comment boxes below, and I will be back shortly to show you some of the tools that I used. All right, I am back with some of the tools that I have used for the decks that you just saw. This is my Guillotine Swingline stapler. If anyone has seen The Office, the movie, that's where that's from. So, as I meant to say, this is my Swingline Guillotine paper cutter. So what I did was, it has some measurements here with the lines, and I took like a piece of tape, and then I put the card here so that it could only go so far. I couldn't cut off any more. So this is the pack of markers that I used for a few of the decks, the edging that I did. So it's CrazArt washable Super-tip markers. So I got a lot of them because I wanted the options. This was the one for the Lightseer Tarot, but you know what? It doesn't have a color name and it doesn't have a number. So I don't know, this is just the teal one of that set. Unfortunately, I can't be more descriptive than that. This is the distress ink pad that I used for the Muse Tarot that I really love. This distressed Oxide is the ink pad that I used for the Guardian Angel edging. This Mildliner in gold, doesn't even say like what it is. So if you can read that, it's a fine tip, but it's got like a slanted edge. If you can probably tell, it's been like chewed up. And that is the one that I used for the Llewellen Tarot, which matched the backs really well. For the Vintage Wisdom Oracle, I used both the Distress Ink Antique Linen, and I believe it was the Vintage Photo. I don't think it was the Walnut Stain. So that's the one that I used. And I really enjoyed working with both of those. That worked out really, really well. And this is the Brilliance Dewdrop set. I used the Brilliance Brilliance Galaxy Gold for that really nice gold edging of the Illuminated Earth Oracle. And I'll show you my corner rounder that I really like. It took some time to get to me from Amazon. But this is the Kadamaru Pro, and it's got multiple size edge options, which I really like, because for my really small decks, like the Sun and Moon Tarot, I probably chose the small, and for my Guardian, my Guardian Angel deck, I used the large. So you just stick it right in there and you press it down, and it works really, really well. Collects all of the shavings in underneath, and I really like that one as well. And I think that's it. Oh yeah, so don't ever use this Sharpie Gold. It is so dull, and it doesn't have any kind of, it's just an ugly gold for edging decks. So ixnay on the old gay. So here's the Sharpie that I used for a lot of the decks, and it's a slanted tip. So you want to make sure that you choose a nice fresh one, and then as you go along, it'll kind of create a groove in the marker and it'll really slide nicely. You want to make sure that if you're going to edge, that you face the card away from you and then you slide the slanted tip like that, so that if you're going to get anything of bleeding, it's going to happen on the back and not on the fronts. And if you'd like to see me, I may videotape, I'm showing my age. I may record the mods that I'm going to do for the Crystal Visions Tarot, so if you want to see that, let me know. And I'm looking forward to making more videos for you guys. Thanks and have a great day.